Yes, guys, I'm 𝒑i𝐭y. This is Ace Podcast Nation, and this is a very special edition of the fan show. It's a Wales fan show this evening. It's not live from the Rum and Tavern. It's live from my home. But I am joined by an array of Welsh fans this evening. We're going to keep that roster rotating through the next hour or so. We're going to talk all things Wales. We're going to have a talk about Saturday's game. We're going to talk about Turkey tomorrow. We're going to talk about Robert Page. We're going to talk about a bit of everything, the fans. We're going to also talk about our all-time Welsh 11s throughout the evening. And it's going to be a good time. It's going to be a good time. I'm looking forward to it. It's really throwing me because I've got a different camera and a new camera, and it's in a different place. So I keep looking away. And so if I look like I'm not looking or I'm not interested, it's not that. But the first up on the roster this evening is none other than ex-Salford City winger, ex-Bangor City, Aberystwyth Town, Mosley, and an array of other clubs. Delighted to be joined by Rodri Giggs on a Monday, mate. On a Monday, no less. How the devil are you, my friend?
Yeah, I'm good, mate. Good week, good quiet weekend. It's that time of the year now, isn't it? It's, the weather's setting in. Christmas is around the corner. So, yeah, it's just chill, mate.
Just ramping up for the big one, mate.
Quiet weekend, no football either, so it's a bit, well, obviously the Wales that we'll talk about, but other than that, there's usually a lot more. So, yeah, international week's not a great fan of.
Yeah, it's just weird, isn't it? It's like you get every time you start getting into the bloody club season, there's another international break, and I find it really frustrating. As much as I like watching Wales and the rest of it, I do find it frustrating because it's like I think this is the third one of the season, and we're like not even the end of November. But obviously, at least this time round, there was a bit of there's something on it, something on the games. Wales went into the Armenia game on Saturday knowing if they beat Armenia, they beat Turkey, they would qualify automatically. Were you surprised, disappointed by the performance against Armenia? And I think, look, the one thing to add is Armenia are not like the Armenia. I do apologize. They're not what they were perhaps 10 years ago. Like, they're not whipping boys. They got some really good footballers, some top level footballers as well. But I felt going into the game that we could beat Armenia. And then the Turkey game was a bit like, with being a home game, you're lucky and you're going to be confident. What did you think, mate? Were you surprised at the performance Wales put out on Saturday?
First of all, he had a big decision to make, didn't he? So does he play James Johnson? Did he keep the same side? So he's kept the same side, which is probably the right decision. But when you concede so early on, plus when you get beat 4-2 at home, it's the home game, really. It's done it, innit? If we win that game and we got 3 points, we're not in no really. All we need to do really is draw, or it's really done, really, if we win that game. So, I thought they played well. Tired at the end. I thought the subs didn't do anything when they come on. Brendan Johnson and Daniel James. I thought they were terrible, to be honest. But good one to claw it back to get it to 1-1. But you think you're going to push on in the second half and get that one. It just wasn't meant to be. So we'll just
it was like basketball, mate. It was like end to end, just
one end
to the other all the time.
There's no really quality to it, was there? So it was just one of them games that fizzled out in the end, and not really too many clean-cut chances.
Like, I do feel like if Armenia had finished better, Armenia had finished better, Wales could have lost 4 or 5-2 again, because they had some really good chances in the second half. Armenia did, and they just skied all of them. Maybe a bit frenetic and didn't have the composure to put them away. But I think we stood off them a lot around the edge of the box and gave them a chance to shoot. And then we were, like I say, there wasn't really many chances. And Wales, I thought, I was a bit disappointed with the second half. I got to be honest. I really thought it felt like a very typical away performance up to halftime, where you're playing a team who are going to be comfortable on the ball. They got an early goal. Wales got back into it. And then you're hoping Wales are going to kick on, use the pace of Brendan Johnson and Daniel James off the bench. And it just never quite happened. And it was disappointing. And I know, look, I know that Robert Page has got his critics. I'm not sure Saturday. I don't know. I'm not sure Saturday's his.
Even if it doesn't go well this week, and we end up, we still got the playoffs. I still fancy us against someone in the playoffs, so it's still an outside chance. We've done it before, so why cannot do it again? So I would still fancy us against anyone, to be honest. You're not going to get too strong a team in that pool of playoff teams. So you just hope you don't get the strongest and get a team that you can, you fancy yourselves against.
Yeah, it's a strange one, mate, isn't it? Because when you look at the playoffs, and we will talk about some of the, the different things which can happen with different results and who we can play and stuff. Like, I saw one post from Wales Online earlier that there's a good chance that Wales can have some winnable game, like a couple of winnable games in the playoffs on paper. Like, I know, look, Poland are a great side. They've got one of the great strikers of all time playing up front for him, but he's also at the latter end of his career. He's not the Lewandowski of 5 years ago. So Wales showed on their day against Croatia, they can compete and beat anyone, but it's whether under the pressure on the big night, can they do it? And look, I think Rob Page has still got questions, and I think there will be, those questions are going to remain regardless. If he qualifies, then obviously he can kind of step back and he can say, look, I qualified. But if he doesn't, particularly because of some of the individual performances throughout this campaign, I think he's going to be under pressure, mate. I really do. Like that,
Even though he's got a long contract, though, hasn't he? He's got like 3 years left.
Yeah, he has. But I just think there's quite a lot of unrest. I don't know if unrest is like, it's not like people are calling for his job, but there's definitely questions being asked of him. And I think in most cases, those questions are fair. I think, there's always a few who are a bit over the top and whatever. I think personally that maybe I don't know if he needs help, like someone experienced with him, or whether he just tactically isn't quite there. There's something which doesn't feel right, because I look at the Wales squad now, got a real good mix of young and experienced players. And then you look at the 21s doing very, very well. And if you ask the question long term, is Robert Page the right man to take those two squads on? In my personal opinion, I'm not sure. However, I'm fully behind him, and while he's manager, I'll support him. And I don't think anyone should be giving him too much grief. You can criticize without being a dick. At the end of the day, you can look at the decisions he makes and the performances the team put out and analyze or look at that or have an opinion without being a bit of a knobhead. And unfortunately, social media does bring out the knobheads, doesn't it? It's just the way it is, mate. That's just a part of social media, I guess. That
that's always going to be there. You know that when you take the job, but even he would expect to qualify. But it's them home games. You got to win them home games, mate. It's so important. And obviously pick up a draw or maybe a win. But them home games, you can't get beat at, and getting beat 4-2. So that's the bad one.
Yeah, I mean, that's the one that's cost us, isn't it? When you look at when we look back on this, if we don't qualify automatically, which looks unlikely, I just think that that's the one, isn't it? That's the game which has cost us. Like, you got to try and win your home games. And the frustrating thing is, you look at the Croatia game, Wales were and have got the players and the squad to beat some of the top teams. Like, they're good enough. It's just there's something in this qualifying campaign, in some games, something just hasn't been right. Is it the selection? Is it the tactics? I don't know. But, and look, like Reese makes a good point in the chat there. He says, he's lost Gareth Bale, which I think people are now seeing perhaps how many times Gareth Bale dug us out of tight games, of games where we needed just something out of nowhere. And I think towards the end of his Welsh career, people got a bit, I don't know what the word is, like just used to it, like almost expecting it of him. But like that man,
I disagree. You know, I disagree with that because people would, you know, it can go the other way as well. People could say, look at people saying that with Tottenham, look how they've started without Harry Kane. So sometimes people got to stand up and be better, and they have done. It was just one game, that game that they got beat 4-2, conceded 4 goals at home, which is just not good enough. Should be winning them games. If you win them,
they started badly, didn't they?
We're on what 15 points, 16 points now. So yeah, and then all we need is a draw.
We started the campaign badly, didn't we? I mean, let's be honest. The performances at the start of the campaign were poor, and I think it's always difficult when you make a bad start. It's hard to come back. And as I alluded to just now, like Armenia are not the same side they would have been 10 years ago. Like you look at the group. That's what I said.
You said Armenia.
Armenia. It's my Manchester accent. No, I think years ago we'd have looked at that group for like 5-10 years ago. We'd have looked at that group and thought, oh, here we go. So as long as we, you know, we should beat everyone except Croatia. Like Turkey, we're capable of beating. But I think Turkey, Armenia, even Latvia have got a couple of players. Like there's always players. Like all these players play in the top leagues around Europe now, and it's not a simple thing. However, I stand by what I said at the very start of the group, is that Wales should be qualifying from that group. I felt like that they had enough experience and quality players to qualify from that group. So just before I let you go, mate, I asked you to come up with your all-time Wales 11. So in your own time, you let us know, mate.
Forgot about this.
So you're gonna have to do it on the fly.
Off the fly. Neville Southall, that's a given.
Okay.
Neville Southall, left back. Oh my god.
This is Pat Van Den Houw. He was all right, man. I don't know if he's all time.
I'd rather Clayton Blackmore over him. I mean, he played left back.
Yeah. He played left back for a bit. Gareth Bale played left back for a bit. You could have him, really. Depends. I mean, is Nico Williams in the conversation?
Is he left back? Is he?
That's an interesting one, isn't it? Because he's still playing. He's young. But is he already in the conversation for the best left back?
Yeah, let's throw him there. Put Nico.
What about Neil Taylor?
No, let's put Nico Williams in there.
Okay. Southall, Nico Williams.
I'll put Kevin Ratcliffe.
Yeah. Surely Danny Gabardon's in the conversation.
Danny Gabardon. Yeah, Danny Gabardon. Although, yeah, Danny Gabardon, yeah. Right back. I have no recollection of fullbacks. They're all rubbish, right? Well, not rubbish, you know what I mean? But
yeah.
No.
I suppose you could have Clayton Blackmore. He definitely played.
Let's put Sunbed in there, yeah. He'll be happy about that. Clayton Blackmore. right back. Midfield. Right midfield, Craig Bellamy.
4-4-2, is it?
Oh, let's go.
Chris Gunter, you did the most capped Wales player of all time. Didn't have him at right back.
No. Just because you play a lot of times doesn't mean, yeah.
Yeah, I'll accept that. I got it. It's your 11.
Don't get me wrong, he's a steady player, but, doesn't stand out.
Good. So you got Bellamy right wing. You got Joe Allen. You could have, obviously, you got Ramsey. Going back further, who have you got? Robbie Savages.
I'm going to play 4-3-3. Yeah, 4-3-3. I'm going to play So I'm going to put in the midfield. I'm going to put Gary Speed. I'm going to I'll put Robbie Savage in there.
But you didn't have Ashley Williams either.
Who did I have?
Gabardon and Ratcliffe.
Kevin Ratcliffe won a league title with Everton. You know that, don't you?
Yeah, yeah. I'm just reminding you of some players. Gary Speed.
I'm just reminding the people who don't remember Kevin Ratcliffe, who played for Everton, won multiple cups with Everton and the league. So yeah, that's why he's in there.
Mm. So Bellamy on the right.
No, I'm in the midfield here.
All right, okay, go on.
Gary Speed, Robbie Savage, and on a diamond, I would go 𝒂i𝐭y, put 𝒂i𝐭y there actually.
On the left of a diamond.
On the left, yeah. Put Bale on the right, Bellamy on the left, Ian Rush. Bosh, there we go. Bye.
No Mark Hughes, no Aaron Ramsey, no Joe Allen, no
Actually,
who else
Joe Allen was
no Vinnie Jones.
Fuck off. So yeah, the midfield, Gary Speed would definitely be in there.
Yeah,
you
could also play at fullback.
Do that, play as a number 10 easily. Play anywhere on there. So
no John Charles.
That. What?
No John Charles either.
Was he midfield, wasn't he? Was he centre forward?
He literally played centre forward, midfield, and centre back.
Right. So Robbie Savage out there. John, yeah, you got to have him there. I forgot all about him.
So John Charles. So your midfield was John Charles.
Yeah, John Charles, Gary Speed, 𝒂i�y, Bellamy on the left, Bale on the right, Ian Rush, Sparky. You know, you got
Sparky, Ramsey,
Dean Saunders. Yeah, a very, very, very strong bench. You know, 5. So
they can't all play, mate, can they?
Hughes, Joe Allen, Williams,
Gunter.
No, Joe. I've got Joe Allen, Hughes, Williams, all that good. Savage. No, Dean's missing out Dean Saunders as well. He was a very good striker.
Yeah, Wales, like all-time 11 is all-time squad is strong, mate. Strong as it should be.
It's midfield that I think. Man, Gary Speed was a very good player.
Speed was such a good player, mate, and he could play like on the left as well.
And when you got like John Charles and then you got 𝒂i�y in there, so that's a strong free that. So yeah, you got that front three: Ian Rush, goal machine, Speed and Bellamy and Bale. What? Come on.
Yeah. Be awesome, mate. Right. Before I let you go then, mate, and bring Dan in, prediction for Wales versus Turkey tomorrow, mate?
Is it going to be a damp squid? Or
well, I think there's still a chance. Like if Armenia turn up against and get a draw against Croatia and we win, we go through. So
yeah, so we've got to turn up. I'm sure it's going to be a full house because people have expected, it's going to be near to a full house.
Yeah, it's a complete sellout.
That always helps when it's a full house in Cardiff. I always feel strong because when the crowd get behind them, it's we push them on. So let's go 2-1. 2-1.
Sweet. Mate, appreciate you joining me on this Fair Monday. It's always a pleasure. I'll see you on Thursday, where we'll break down the game and we'll talk about this, that, and the other. And I'll tell you about I've had two successful stints on BetMate as well, but I'm not going to talk about it too much until they sponsor us. So that's the only thing. So there we go.
I'm not with Paddy Pal anymore, so you can take that shit right off.
Oh, right there. They don't get free publicity no more.
Out there.
See you later.
I finished with them about 2 or 3 months ago. Good stint though, about 5 years. So
5 years and the greatest advert ever made. What more can you ask for, mate?
See you in a bit, pal.
Yeah, see you on Thursday, buddy. Take it easy, my friend.
Later.
So that was Rodri Giggs. Nice one to Rodri for joining us on a Monday. Let's bring our next Welsh fan in. It is Dan from Cardiff Classic Shirts. Whoop. Let's bring that back in there. How are you, my friend? You good?
How's it going?
All good, mate. All
Yeah,
good.
I had to go for a little sit down after hearing Robbie Savage mentioned in a Wales all-time
Oh,
11.
I know, mate. It's
Robbie Savage.
It's an interesting shirt you got behind you there, mate. Very I like. What's that one?
Oh well, obviously we're not doing the Roma Tavern tonight, are we? So
No.
I'm recording in my spare room where I've got my own sort of match-worn collection of shirts hanging behind me. But far be it from me or you to give a little Easter egg out for what's coming up in the new year.
Indeed.
Whatever's hanging there is just whatever is hanging there.
Yes. Reckless speculation, mate. There is absolutely no links to anything.
No, I've heard things, I've seen things, but
just got to see what happens, isn't it? So talk to me, my friend. What did you make of the Wales-Armenia game? It was very. I thought, mate, I was disappointed. I got to say, I was really, really disappointed with Wales' performance all round.
I think we've probably become accustomed to a higher level of performance
in the big games as well,
than we deserve. If you told 90s us, if you told us in 95 that we'd be watching these sorts of games, relying on results to do this or that to qualify for a major tournament, then we'd bite your hand off for it, no matter what the end result was. But we've become spoilt over the last 10 years, haven't we? And
yes,
to see a Welsh side play like that, so willfully just give the ball away with absolutely no interest in. Did we realise that we were playing in white and they were in red? We gave the ball away so often. It was an awful performance to watch, and it was anger-inducing. I mean, I watched it in the Queen's Waltz. I didn't go over there. I watched it in the Queen's Waltz, and everyone around me was just infuriated by how poorly we played. It's one thing losing a game or drawing a game, even as we did, but to not really turn up and give any account of yourselves was really disappointing. And
yeah,
you have to wonder, does it come down to those players not having played at all?
Yes, and this is interesting. I've got a video coming out later in the week talking about. Well, there's a couple of two players, three players, which are actually mentioned in the video in this Welsh squad, and there is a few of them who, yes, they play for Premier League clubs, but when you actually look at their minutes on the pitch, they play 20 minutes maybe at a push on a weekly basis. And as we've discussed at the last Cardiff City fan show at the Roman Tavern, come join us when it starts back up after the international break, Monday evenings. The under-21s system is not worth the paper it's written on in terms of getting players and squad players game time. So a lot of these players are coming to Welsh duty, and they're not playing a lot of football, so it can be difficult. And look, as I said to Rodri just now, mate, it's not Armenia of 10 years ago, where maybe they've got one good player. These are a lot of them play at Champions League clubs. They're decent footballers, and I've got to say, I think if they could finish, we'd have been in trouble because they missed a lot of chances in the second half. The thing which I found really frustrating, mate, was when you look at the game versus Croatia. The system, the tactics, the performances was so spot on that you felt like if we play like that in these two games, we'll probably win. That's how good that performance was. Yeah. And to kind of follow that Croatia game up with a performance like that and giving the ball away so easily and things like this, it was very disappointing.
The key word, Si, there from the Croatia performance is effective. It was effective. It was set up to do a job, and it did its job. And then we went to Armenia, and we went, let's not bother. I think we thought we were just going to pass the ball around and score a couple of goals, and that'd be us. And then we'd have the real test of Turkey on Tuesday. I think we underestimated Armenia, which for a team who got beaten 4-2 in their own home ground
is outrageous.
Is insane.
It's outrageous, mate. When you think of how they took us apart in that game, And yes, we played badly in the game, and we probably gifted them at least a goal or two. However, like as I mentioned, these are Champions League players, some of them. So if that's the case, you have to be ready and expect a hard game. You have to expect the game at the same intensity and level as Croatia. And I feel like, and you look, some of the players, like James in the middle of the park, these are young lads. So even 𝒉𝒕𝒕𝒃𝒓, these are young lads. 𝒉𝒕𝒕💏 is very experienced for his age, particularly with Wales. He's played in World Cups and Euros, but he's still young. Like, you need the players, Kiefer Moores, your Ben Davises, to really step up and get these players through. And I feel like Rodri touched on it a bit. Like, Brennan Johnson didn't really get the rub of the green when he came on. Daniel James is like the most infuriating player to me.
Brennan Johnson, should he be starting alongside Kiefer in a game you need to win? We've got a Spurs striker.
Here's a question for you then, mate, right? Which I saved for you rather than Rodri.
You're going to ask me the same thing I think you're going to ask me the same thing as I was going to ask you.
Okay. So I asked, so I saw a few comments earlier on saying that we set up, or did Robert Page set up to not lose instead of go and win? Do you think that was the case?
I don't, and that wasn't the question I was going to ask you.
Okay.
But I don't think there was no value in setting up to go and draw the game and relying on other results. We had to go there and we had to set up and try and win the match.
But surely, if that's the case, you start in Brennan Johnson, who's one of the most formed strikers in the country.
Absolutely, I couldn't agree with you more. I just don't think he's got his tactics right. There's no way that he went there looking for a draw, but he didn't get it right.
Or maybe we forget. Maybe collectively we forget. Like, we started off against Croatia tactically different to how we finished the game. Like, he adapted in the game, changing slightly because we were not. I wouldn't say overrun, but like we were having issues with the system he set up with to start, and he kind of changed it a little bit. So,
but that's different than setting up for a draw.
Yeah, no, of course, I understand that, and I think, but then, to me, if you're a player subconsciously and you see Brennan Johnson on the bench, does that subconsciously send a message to you that the team we're setting up to be solid rather than we're setting up to get at the opponents?
But isn't that more how Cardiff City have been setting up rather than how Wales have been setting up? And if you did want to inspire that fear into your opponent, would you not have had someone else from Cardiff City on your bench there? Was there someone else from Cardiff City that you could have looked to on your bench after 75 minutes and gone, this is a young boy who could have come on and done something here?
Well, I just think in tight games you need creative players. You need players.
And where was he? He was with the under-21s.
And look, the under-21s are doing very, very well. I know there's someone later on who wants to touch on it, but let's keep it focused on the first team for now. Like, to me,
Colwell should have been there. Colwell should have been on that bench. Colwell should have been on that bench coming off after 75 minutes when we needed something to change.
To me, if I'm the national manager and I got 2 games to win, I want my bench to essentially be full of midfielders and strikers and forwards and creative players with, 1 or 2 defenders who can cover fullback or centre back, basically, because I want as many options as possible to change a game, to create an inspirational moment, whatever it may be. And I don't want to look at my bench and think, oh, I really wish I had X, Y, and Z. Yes, I would have taken Colwell because I think he's got a bit of an X factor. And I just think whether it's Colwell, whether it's Daniel James, whether it's Harry Wilson, Brennan Johnson, we've got players who can do things out of the blue. But I don't think sometimes I feel like we tactically set up to the only way we can play is one way. We either play very, very sort of possession-based football, or we lump it up to 𝐂i𝐭y and hope like people can play off him.
Yeah.
Whereas I think we've got a squad that is more capable of playing a different range of tactics if those aren't working. Like Neco Williams, I don't know what's happened this season with him in terms of his club, like why he's not playing club football. But I think we've all seen him for Wales, for Forest, even for Liverpool at times. Like he's very, very good at getting forward. He's very, very fit. He can go up and down all day. So let's utilize that a bit more instead of like very two-dimensional sort of tactics and stuff like that. Right. Reese has asked, how much is that chopper shirt behind you? Because Christmas is coming up and his mum's in the chat.
It's not for sale, sorry, man. I bought that from Chops. I bought it from Chops at the start of the year, along with a couple of other shirts, some of which probably will be behind me. But that's actually his debut shirt. It's a shirt that he wore when he first pulled on the Cardiff Blue, and signed by the full squad, including himself, obviously. And
So not for sale.
That's one that never will be for sale. That's why it's here in my.
Do you have any chopper shirts for sale?
Not at the moment, but before December, there may be a few things coming up where we'll have some signed chopper bits, or not match ones, because I tend to not sell match ones unless it's part of a sponsorship deal. So yeah, there won't be any Chops match ones for sale that I know of, but yeah, signed shirts certainly could be arranged.
Indeed. I got to pull up Rob Boyle, who's just made a comment, which I'm really not happy about. Rob Boyle says, from a Cardiff perspective, I would rather play 𝒂i𝐭y ahead of 𝒂i𝐭y. I cannot fathom such a comment.
Does he mean outraged. For Wales or for Cardiff or for his
he says from a Cardiff perspective, but I am outraged. However, I'm not even going to give Rob the time of day by responding to it and discussing it, because it's such an absolutely disgraceful point, and it's just wrong. But what I will say is Reese's mum says that 𝒂i𝐭y looked absolutely wrecked, totally unfit. And I think that goes back to what you were saying, mate, is these if like 𝒂i𝐭y, Neco Williams,
they're not playing football.
Who else is not playing? There's a few, isn't there, who's just...
Oh, there's plenty.
I'm trying to think now, but like, I think... So should Robert Page, and it's it is difficult because we are a small nation, but should Robert Page, from a starting 11 perspective, be looking at how much football players have played on both ends of the spectrum? If players look tired because they've played every game, or if they've not played much and they're not match fit, like which ones do you feel like you should take that into account?
Well, there's a couple of ways you can look at that. There's a couple of ways you can look at it. You can say, I want you to be playing football for your club before you come into the Wales setup, but it could also be sort of pushing them towards saying, if you aren't getting first team football be it in the Premiership or in the Championship, then maybe look to drop down to a place where you are getting first team football and you are playing competitively. Like 𝒂i𝐭y, for example, at Bournemouth. We don't know what happened with him in the last couple of days of the transfer window. He was heavily linked with Cardiff. But Cardiff aside, if he dropped down to a Championship team, if he dropped down to a team where he was playing more regularly, then would we be seeing a different 𝒂i𝐭y now? I don't know. And you could apply that same logic to other players. The international managers, they're able to say to their players, look,
you need to be playing.
If you want to be picked, you need to be playing football.
Yeah, and I think
that puts a bit of pressure on them to sort of do something at their clubs in the same way that clubs put pressure on players who are going out internationally. Like famously, your guest before me, Rodri, his brother, his brother's manager would not often let him go and play international football. It works both ways.
Yeah. I think the manager's got to you know, he's got to tell these players, you've got to be playing. Like, we're not like, you know, even a nation the size of England, who've got a much bigger pool of players to play from. You know, what the manager has stayed loyal to players who aren't playing.
Yeah.
But he has also told them that when push comes to shove in the big games, if they're not playing, they might not be around. So obviously we don't have the same array of options to pick from. However, I do think he probably needs to say something along those lines. And you imagine, right? Say Kiefer Moore had come in the last days of the window to Cardiff, and he was, you know, hitting a bit of form, scored a few goals. I think it's a fair. I don't think it's too hypothetical to say that you'd see a different version of him playing for Wales now, because he'd be banging form, playing week in, week out, playing with, you know,
confidence, isn't it?
Yeah, of course it is. And I think it wasn't just him. I think it would be unfair to single out Kiefer Moore, but he did look unfit. He did look unfit, and unfortunately, because it's a must-win game, you're not going to take him off because you need a goal.
No, to be honest, I think the confidence is more important than the fitness.
Yeah, I think the confidence can get you through, can't it, when you get tired and you know that adrenaline. I'll tell you what, Dan, let's talk a little bit. We got a bit of time anyway. So let's talk a bit about the permutations, basically, to what can happen tomorrow. So Croatia will qualify if they beat Armenia, Wales, or if we lose to Turkey. Yeah. Wales have to beat Turkey and hope that basically if Croatia draw or don't win, then and we win, we go through. So I think it's fairly simple. Go and win the game. And look, I'd fancy Wales to beat anyone at home. I really would. Or should I say, I would have fancied Wales to beat anyone at home before that Armenia game, because that Armenia home performance was as poor a performance as I've seen in probably 10, 15 years for Wales. It was awful.
We haven't yet earned the right to say that the Cardiff City Stadium is a fortress. We've won a lot of games there. We haven't lost a lot of games there, but we haven't earned the right to say it's a fortress yet. We don't expect to beat anyone who comes in. And Turkey won the group for a reason. Sorry?
Expect to give them a game, though.
Oh, absolutely, yeah. But Turkey have won the group for a reason, because they're the best team in the group. And the rest of the group has been wildly competitive. So although I expect Croatia to be professional enough tomorrow at home to get the job done against Armenia, you never know in football, do you? You never know.
No, you just don't know. Like, you know, the way Armenia played,
we get an early goal against Turkey, and Armenia just maybe they're winning, maybe they're drawing 0-0 at half time. It's going to get in everyone's heads, and that's what football does. You know, we can't rule out qualifying tomorrow. It might happen, but we've got to go out and do a professional job, and we've got to hope Croatia don't.
Yeah, and there's one other thing as well, is with Armenia are very much in a situation which Wales have been in a lot of times over the years, where you're almost playing for pride, but you are also playing for your rankings and to try and get a better draw the next time the draws are all done and the seeding's done and all this. So the higher they finish is obviously better for them. Turkey just beat Germany 3-2.
If Armenia win, though, and Turkey beat us, then Armenia would be in second, wouldn't they?
Yeah, I believe they can still qualify. So I think there's a bit of goal difference in it as well, though. I think they've
got everything. They're not turning up for appearances either.
No, I thought they were pretty good on Saturday as well. Like, I just thought it was their finishing which really let them down, but their build-up play and the way they went about their business, I thought was pretty good. You know,
it was great at the Cardiff City Stadium. We can't look at that Cardiff City Stadium result as being a shock or a surprise. Really, it wasn't a fluke. At the end of the day, we played 90 minutes of football, and they comprehensively outplayed us in every department.
Yeah, 100%, mate. And I think, look, I'm going on to Turkey. I think Turkey beatable. But they're top of the group for a reason. They've got some very, very good young players. Very quickly, mate, what would your starting 11 be tomorrow?
Just one thing on that last point. Let's not forget, Turkey are going to be out for a little bit of revenge from what happened in 2020. So
Yes.
they are not going to be. They're not going to be looking to roll over and let us qualify. Tomorrow, right? Obviously, it's Danny Ward, isn't it?
Yeah.
Sure. Actually, I probably would start with the same 11. I probably would start with the same 11.
Interesting.
We can't make. I'd be more inclined to make squad changes than I would starting 11 changes.
Okay, explain very quickly. So I'm assuming you'd bring in Colwell. Would you bring in any more of the 21s?
Sure, I might bring Charlie Savage in. He's got something about him, hasn't he?
I would bring in, if you like. So I'm just kind of hypothetical, I guess. If I was going to bring in some youngsters to add some legs, a bit of creativity, I'm looking at Savage, Colwell, and maybe Ashford, because he's just been on a bit of a goal streak recently.
Yeah, actually,
and I think there's a lot to be said for form.
That'd be a really interesting wild card. Yeah, I mean, you know what? If we've got 5 minutes left, and there's a chance, and we've got nothing, there's nothing to lose by going for it, is there? So yeah, I wouldn't disagree with you.
From a starting 11 point of view, I would go with Lockyer, Roden, and Davis. I would go Connor Roberts and Nico Williams, Jordan James, and Ampadu. I think give us a really good mix and a good base.
It does seem to work.
Then I'd have Harry Wilson behind, or I'd have Harry Wilson and Brennan Johnson behind Kiefer Moore. I think Brennan Johnson has to start. Has to start.
No, I'll give you that. Look, we've got to go and try and win the game, haven't we? We've got to go and try and win the game. But we don't have to. Oh, I don't know. It's a tough one.
Turkey beat Germany, mate,
the other day. Kept it tight and then went and tried to win it. I don't know. We could get into half time, and if both games are 0-0, then it's a tough one. It's a tough one.
I think the crowd will be important on Saturday. And one thing I think that Cardiff don't always do well, but Wales do well, is they get the crowd behind them. And I think a quick start, an aggressive start, a fast start will get the crowd and the atmosphere loud, enthusiastic, etc. Whereas if we kind of build slow and try and keep it tight for halftime, I think the crowd kind of switches off a little bit, and because we know that we're going to get a playoff place, so it's kind of like, do the crowd then lose a bit of interest? I've been surprised how many people I've seen selling their tickets since Saturday. Right? Yeah, I've seen a few people, and unfortunately, look, now more than ever, because I think Wales have got a very young squad at the moment in terms of overall experience. Outside of your Ramseys and your Ben Davises, you're looking at a lot of young players, but who have played a lot of games for Wales. They need the support of the fans, the people, and I think that's important that we stick with them. But let's not forget, Turkey beat Germany the other day, so it's one of them. They rested a lot of players as well. So,
we've beaten Germany too. Yeah.
Yes, indeed. Do you know what would be interesting? Yeah, well, I saw us beat Germany. Robert Earnshaw scored a goal. I was sat behind the goal with my German girlfriend.
Oh, yeah, of course, yeah.
Yeah, I had a German girlfriend at that time before I met my wife, and
is that why she left you?
Yeah, she never spoke to me after that because Robert Earnshaw ruined date night. He still ruins my date nights now. My missus loves him. Right then, mate. Just while we wait for the next Welsh fan, why don't you run me through why Rodri Giggs' all-time Welsh 11 was wrong, and tell me yours?
How long have we got?
Yeah, 5 minutes or so.
Oh, right. Okay. Yeah. No, I don't see Robbie Savage taking a place in there. I also thought your Vinnie Jones shout was outstandingly poor. Look, I'm not as old as everyone else in the group, so I'd also start with Neville Southall.
Okay.
For me, left back. Do you know what? Was he left back? I'd say Mark Pembridge. Was he left back or right back? Just ever
Left
so
back,
slightly
wasn't he?
before my time.
Yeah, Pembridge was left back.
I would have said left back. Yeah. In the middle, then I've got to have Guns, haven't I?
I think so.
It's hard not to have Ashley Williams either.
Yeah, I think. I guess it depends on what formation you play, because I do agree with Rodri that Kevin Ratcliffe has to be in there. I do agree with Rodri that
See, that's just before
Gabadon.
my time, though. I can't be forgiven for not picking players before my time.
Yeah, but then that's like, would you not have John Charles? Would you not have like this? It's a difficult one, isn't it?
Yeah, there's no right answers, is there?
Yeah, and look, it's never ending because there's so many choices and options that like it is what it is. You're going to leave players out. There's no right or wrong answer, so you go with who you think, mate.
So
To me,
back,
Danny Gabadon has to be.
Who would I have right back? Would I have Neil Taylor just for that goal against Russia? I think I might.
Sneaky having Neil Taylor on the right. I'll give you it though.
No, but if I don't pick a Jack anywhere, I'll get in trouble, won't I?
Yeah, that's true. Go on then, very quickly then, mate. Who's next?
Oh, I'll also go with Rodri's brother on the left. I'll go with Aaron Ramsey in the middle. On the right, oh, I don't know. Oh, I don't know.
The pressure's on now, isn't it?
Yeah. Who would you have?
On the right, probably
Yeah.
Bellamy. I'd probably go Bellamy off the right.
That's better. I'd have had Bellamy up top. So yeah, let's fit him in. Let's fit him in.
Because I think there's other options that you can go through up top, whereas the right is probably a bit more. Yeah, but then I think there's an argument. There's an argument you could make to play Bale on the right and Giggs on the left. Well, you know, it's personal preference, I guess, isn't it?
So if I've got three front men, then I'll have Gareth on the left, I'll have Mark Hughes on down the middle. Oh fuck me, where's Ian Rush go? Or Dean Saunders? Christ, no, I'll have Saunders on the right, Hughes down the middle, Bale on the left. Yeah, Rush's got to do on the bench.
No Simon Davis, no Aaron Ramsey.
I had Ramsey in the middle.
Who'd you have in midfield?
I had Ramsey.
Speed, Ramsey. Who was the third
I didn't have Speed, did I?
Ugh.
No, you can't ask me. Next time, ask me these questions when I've got things to prepare. I
will. I'll give you. We'll come back to it.
And
Dan,
delete this video because I will hate it.
Dan, it's been an absolute pleasure as always, mate. I'm going to bring in the next Welsh fan. I'll speak to you on Thursday, mate, when I come down the shop.
All right. Cheers, mate. Thank you.
Cheers, buddy. And joining me next is Donna Perry. Hi, Donna.
Hi, you okay?
Yes, I'm very good. Thank you. You good?
Yeah, not too bad, thanks. Come to share my views on Wales with you.
Indeed. So, first and foremost, talk to me about Robert Page. Is he the right man for the job?
I don't think he's the right man for the job, Si. I've never really been a fan of him. Like, when he came, he didn't have much experience, did he? It's a bit like the Steve Morris and Cardiff scenario again. He started off, and he had Northampton, Port Vale, ended up in the under 21s, became the number 2 to Giggsy, and then by default ended up being the manager. Yeah. And I strongly believe the time when Giggsy was suspended or whatever, I believe that he was in Robert Page's ear. So I believe that he was picking the team and doing the tactics all that time. And then obviously when Giggsy stepped down, then we've seen the true light and the true standard of what Robert Page is and what he can do. So I just don't think he's the right man. I think he gets the tactics wrong, especially in the Armenia game. There just didn't seem to be any tactics. He didn't have a plan B. and not for me. No, I just don't think he's the right man. But then, like, you know, football's a funny old game now. Wales go now if they go and beat Turkey. If Armenia do get a point, and then he's going to be, we're all going to be wanting them to be knighted, aren't we? So when we're talking now on the back of that performance, it is no. But I still think in the long run, he got that job. He was lucky to get the job without a lot of experience. I do believe that Ryan Giggs was in the background picking the teams the time when he, you know, until he properly stepped down. So no, I don't think he's the right man for the job. So who would it be next? I don't know. Whether Giggsy should have the opportunity to come back. You know, that could be something. Or I have no idea. Maybe even someone like good old, what's his name, Nathan Jones. You never know. He might want to have a little go at the Welsh team. He's never done that. He hasn't come back into work for a while since he left, when he was linked with the Cardiff job. But I wouldn't personally continue with Robert Page.
So I saw, I think someone commented earlier, but I saw some people saying on social media that they would get rid of Robert Page regardless of whether Wales qualify or not. They would still make the change. Would you only make the change if they don't qualify?
No, I'm just saying no, because if they did qualify, then everyone's like, oh no, he's brilliant. But no, I stand by what I've said. I believe that he's always been out of his depth. I believe that while Ryan was on gardening leave, when he hadn't properly stepped down, I strongly believe that he was in the background in Ryan Giggs's ear, helping him and actually still picking the teams. I believe that. And since Ryan's gone completely, I think we've seen the weaknesses exposed of Robert Page. It's just his tactics are really questionable, aren't they? I believe.
Yeah, they are. They're sometimes
he's not got the people skills either, is he? I mean, a lot of it, I think, is why you do need people skills as well. You need to keep the media on side. Like that's what we've got with Errol Bullett now at Cardiff. He's got the full package. He's got the people skills. He goes around doing the PR, and Robert Page hasn't got any of that. So
okay, I mean, like we saw, like you mentioned, when Ryan Giggs was on gardening leave, which was the Euros, we really saw some questionable like substitutions and stuff like that. But a lot of people excuse that because, you know, he was stepping into the job and, you know, last minute sort of thing. But to me, the World Cup was like even worse. I really thought Wales were terrible at the Qatar World Cup. And a lot of that came down to the decisions, you know, with selections and substitutions and things like this. And like he has to take the responsibility. There was a report a couple of weeks ago, which was, I got to say, immediately shot down by Noel Mooney, who is one of the top guys at the FAW, who said that apparently this newspaper report said that Noel Mooney wanted Roy Keane to be the next Wales manager. Would you be happy with that?
Well, he's got a Celt background, hasn't he? So he's got the Celt background, which is always half the battle. But yeah, I mean, he's been linked with a few jobs, Roy Keane, hasn't he? So, and he's done the island. Yeah, I wouldn't mind Roy Keane. He's got the passion. He's got the experience. Because that's another thing. See, with Rob Page, he never had any experience, did he? He never won anything. He never did anything really. But at least Roy Keane has got experience, and he's got. You know, well, you're a Man United fan size, so you know he was brought up under Alex Ferguson as well, so he's got an insight in how to do a manager job well. So yeah, I wouldn't mind Roy Keane. It's always nice to have the Welsh person. I think apart from Nathan Jones, now we've gone through all the ones that are, you know, that we could potentially have at the moment. So yeah, Roy Keane, that's quite a good shout.
I think Nathan Jones is an interesting one. I think with Roy Keane, the one thing you can guarantee is he will expect high standards from all the players, the staff, everything around it. And I think, look, would he be my first choice? No, probably not. But then I don't think that Wales have the luxury of saying, right, we're going to get a new manager and then having the pick of every manager available around Europe and around the world. We just don't have that luxury because we're a small country, and let's be honest, the Wales job is not viewed by people outside Wales as at the same level as, say, the England job or the Italy job. It's just not. So I think it would be different. Reese says in the comments, like Steve Cooper would be a good choice maybe in a couple of years when he leaves Forest. Begrudgingly, I'll say that I kind of agree Steve Cooper's a decent shout. But I asked, I'm sure Rodri won't mind me saying, I asked Rodri a couple of weeks back if he thought that his brother would come back after Robert Page leaves, and he said he doesn't think so. But I'm sure he said more so from the Welsh FA side of things, but I don't know. I guess we'll see. Donna, very, very quickly, can you tell me your all-time Welsh 11?
Yeah, I think that a lot of them are quite similar to everybody else's. Obviously, Southall in goal, isn't it? I mean, there's nobody that can challenge him for that. I did Andy Melville because I think he's an unsung hero, and he was, when I was a teenager going to watch the Wales, he was always there. He seemed Mr. Reliable, and he's a really nice guy as well. So I've gone for Andy Melville. Kevin Ratcliffe, obviously. Ashley Williams, unfortunately, I had to put in, and Danny Gabaldon. I put Danny in. And then obviously Giggsy, because people say that he never played, but when he did play, he was absolutely fantastic. Obviously our Gary Speed, Ramsey and Gareth Bale. And then Ian Rush up front, and I put John Toshak in.
Interesting. See,
I
that's
put John
interesting. So
Toshak
no one picked John Toshak yet. So that's
no, I didn't, because I don't really rate Mark Hughes. I never really rated Mark Hughes. And so no, I don't. I remember years ago when I was about 13, I asked for a photo and he said no. Can't believe that. So, that's like, ever since then, I've always thought, no, I don't like you, Mr. Hughes. So that's why he's not in my team.
No
so
Bellamy.
No, not Bellamy either.
No, who else have we got? No John Charles. No Bellamy.
No Ernie.
No Gunter.
No Gunter.
Oof. Wow. Well. Really throwing the cat amongst the pigeons this evening,
yes, Donna. So that's my
calling for Ryan Giggs to be the manager.
Yes, bring back Giggsy. No.
Look, I think some people will agree with that. Some people will say, no way, don't want to know. Ultimately, the Welsh FA will do what they want, but it'll be interesting, I think, because I think if Robert Page goes, there's going to be interest from him, because I feel like he finally qualified for a tournament and got to an international tournament, which he never managed to do as a player, and then wasn't able to go and manage the team there. So you've got to think that he's got a bit of an interest in getting back in there, I would think. But I guess we'll see. Donna, thank you very much for coming on and joining us.
Thanks for having me. Nice to see you, Si.
Yep, see you soon. Ta-ra.
Bye.
And last but not least, it is the man with the worst opinion in the history of football. It is Mr. Robert Boyle. How are you, mate?
Hello, beautiful. How are you doing?
I'm all right, mate. I'm always good. Saving the best to last.
What's that?
Saving the best to last, mate.
Of course, mate. There's some outrageous names and stuff being thrown about tonight, mate. Sweet Jesus. Just a record, before I get into it.
Go on.
The 𝒘o𝐭y comment was
outrageous.
What?
Outrageous.
No. Based on how poor Kiefer Moore was against Armenia, I would have taken 𝒘o𝐭y over that performance. That was my reference, not in general. So
I think the only reason I could say I could agree with it is that at least 𝒘o𝐭y would be fit and be like running around and pressing and chasing. Like, I do feel for him and a few others like Kiefer Moore, just because they're not playing, they just not. And then you're going asking them to play in effectively like 2 cup finals, and they've played 20 minutes here and there. It's hard. But so I don't even know where to start. So Donna says Robert Page should go. Ryan Giggs should be back in the job. Where do you stand on that,
Christ. Mate? Absolutely not, mate. This I'm not.
Hasn't been charged with anything. Was never found guilty of anything.
No, thank you. No, thank you. I'm not Page's biggest fan, not in the slightest. And no, it's just a hard no from me. I tell you what I would like to see take over is if there's going to be a replacement, is I forgot his name already, the under-21's boy, coach.
Roberts.
No, the one who's coaching right now from Bulls. Is it Mark Jones? Is it?
Yeah,
my
might
mind's
be.
gone blank
Mark
already.
Jones, yeah. Do you know
Based on how well he's done, mate, in his England's been class. Like the football, I watched the Denmark game before you went live tonight, mate, and 5, 10, even maybe less than 9 years ago, we would have got absolutely smashed by Denmark. But the football they were playing was outstanding, which I'll get to in a second. Like, I obviously want to talk about the 𝐿21s, but they are literally playing so well. They're so good, so well organised. They know their job, they know the positions, and they actually run, which is
I was just saying, I don't know if you were in when I said to Dan, I would take some of the 21s. I'd put some of the 21s in the squad tomorrow, because you might be in a position with 20 minutes to go where you need to get a goal or two. And I think there's a lot to be said for form. So you've got someone like Cian Ashford, who's banging form, is scoring goals for fun, looks sharp. And when a striker is in form and he's scoring, that's the time to gamble on him, when he's in form. Just on the under-21s managers, obviously Matty Jones. He was he was such an underrated player, but his career was ravaged by injuries, unfortunately. But yeah, he's doing a phenomenal job, mate. And I wouldn't be disappointed if he was the man, if they do make a change. What about this for an outlier from Reese's mum? Craig Bellamy to take over. So I think Bellamy and Keane. So one of the things which Wales has done so well over the last 10 to 15 years is, one, have a togetherness within the squad, but also they've built bridges between the fans and the team, so that the fans and the team feel very much like interlinked as one. And I wanted to make mention of the fans. Like I titled this show, Wales Don't Show Up Against Armenia, but the fans do, because the fans were just outstanding for the whole game. Travelled over there. The national anthem is banging as always. And the fans never turned on the team, never, and away fans rarely do anyway. They're always the most vocal and stuff. But I really like the fans. Wales, the Red Wall is phenomenal, and they deserve so much credit. And I think someone like Bellamy, potentially, and Keane, they have the potential to damage that togetherness, both with the fans and within the squad. Not saying they would, because I think there's a lot of benefits to both. They'd expect high standards, stuff like that. But
I mean, Keane shouldn't be nowhere near the Welsh manager job. Like, Donna obviously knows his shit when it comes to Cardiff. She's as biggest fan as I've ever met in my life. Cardiff City.
In fairness, it wasn't her who said Roy Keane. I was referring to
Oh, okay, sorry.
To an article.
If she's still watching, but no, Roy Keane, 100% no, mate. That's absolutely no.
Interesting, mate. See, I'm not 100% against it. I just think
why would you want him? Why would you want Roy Keane?
Because I think
he'd come in and think he's bigger than the country. Like, not bigger than the country, but bigger than the squad. He's that arrogance is just too much for these kids. And there's a lot of kids in our Welsh squad, and I just think,
I see a good argument for Ryan Giggs from a purely football point of view. Like, if you take out everything and you just look at it from a football point of view, I think he was doing a phenomenal job until he left, or until he was done. But again, I think he causes a divide straight away, because I would say it's probably 50-50 in terms of people who want him and don't. It may be even higher towards people who don't want him. But and we've had this conversation before, mate. Like, he hasn't been found guilty of anything. So it's like,
yeah, I know that.
If he's the best man for the job and he wants it, should Wales bring him back? I don't know.
No, there's
asking a question.
No. I completely get your point. I absolutely do. But like I said to you, I would sooner take I'd sooner take Matty Jones over him.
Yeah,
in a heartbeat. I think I read in the comments before. Come on, was it Reese that said Big Sam?
Fucking hell, Sam Allardyce. Yeah, Jesus Christ.
You know
If
about
it's
the other pop, like, and Reese is saying Sam Allardyce. Jesus Christ.
So Reese just said, if it's football only, if you're only looking at our football, he said 𝐿shan Roberts is miles ahead of Giggs.
Oh, Christ,
but then I think Giggs as a manager with 𝐿shan Roberts is a good combination. However, I'm not saying that I think Ryan should come back and have the job. What I'm saying is that he did a good job while he was there. And I think he doesn't get the credit for the job he did do for Wales because people, one, harp back to his playing career and missing friendlies. And then two, obviously, the way and the reasons why he was gone, you know? But actually, if you break down the job he did from when he took over to when he finished, a lot of the young players who have been integrated, and I talked about earlier about there being a lot of young players like Ampadu, who are still young, but they're really experienced in international football. A lot of that is down to him.
Yeah,
because
true.
he decided to bin off players like 𝐿 Robson-Kanu and, you know, others. How do you see this Turkey game going tomorrow, mate? I do think, myself included, we're underestimating Turkey. But I think they will rest some players because they're already through, so they're going to play some squad players and some young players.
It's so difficult to call, mate. I think
it's not the same. Sorry, mate. I was going to say it's not the same Turkey that we played 2 years ago in the World Cup. Like they were in disarray, weren't they? Like they were up, there was arguments in their camp, and like this is a team that's very together. They got a new manager. They got one or two absolute world-class young players. Like,
they're no mugs, mate. There's no doubt about it. Like, do you mean to do this well?
Don't win the group, do you?
What's that? Sorry.
You don't win the group if you're not very good.
Especially when you've got Croatia in there. You know, Croatia for the last 10 years have been one of the top 5-10 teams in the world easily. You know, players like Luka Modric, Mandzukic, 𝒄i𝐿, like they, you know, they're not no mugs. Like obviously going back a few years, but Turkey's not really been on the map from a football sense since, Christ, someone will correct me, probably early noughties with like Hakan Suka and Emre Can and forgive me, I can't remember. There's a couple of other like well-known household name Turkish players. So they've always for the last few years they've been a case of Turkey's not the ones they used to be. Baysay. Turkey's not the ones they used to be. You know what I mean? We can do them over and things like that. But now there seems to be a new surgence of young Turks who've come through the ranks. And let's not forget, like Galatasaray, Fenerbahce, and a couple of the other Turkish clubs got some of the best youth setups in Europe. Like the youth setup is better than a hell of a lot of the British clubs got. What the fuck's got Oh, Jesus Christ, it's spraying me out. What's happening? Am I in the Matrix?
There we go.
Oh, there we are.
So, I was just my screen looked like it was going to freeze, so I was getting my phone ready just in case.
It's spun me out massively then. But no, I didn't know if you caught me what I was saying, mate. But I know I heard it all. Well, I was saying the Turkish club setup is outstanding, mate. They got a cracking new setup, similar to what Holland has with Ajax and PSV, and it's I think maybe a bit of a sleeping giant, maybe, mate. We'll see how they crack on in the next tournament. But long story short, it just depends on the teams that put out tomorrow. That's just going to depend on the result at the end of the day. If 𝒃𝒃 goes for it, if Turkey sit back. But I think he's
I
going to
do
go
think they'll rest the
defensive
players,
again.
mate. I do. I think
Say that again, sorry.
Turkey will play some of their younger players. However, I also can see Page being like quite defensive and apprehensive in the way he sets up. Whereas I think the way to go, personally, is to get at him early, get the crowd going, and get everything going, get it like really hot atmosphere and stuff. But I don't think he'll do it, mate. I think we'll set up to not concede early. We'll try and keep it solid till half time.
Yeah.
And then you're asking someone to do something special, a moment. And I think we're better than that myself. But
yeah, absolutely agree, mate. I think that the Armenia game was there for the taking. Unfortunately, they caught us off guard right at the start, and this is a cruel way to concede a goal within first 6 minutes. And Armenia knew that they could just park a bus then. They knew they got that, and they went out for that. Let's be real. They went out to get that early goal, park the bus, because we all know they're difficult to break down, and Wales are not Brazil, so it's going to be very difficult to get behind enemy lines, if you like. And they did a bloody damn well good job of it. That's the fact of the matter. They, and obviously kept us out for a little while. But the early goal took its toll at the end of the day. It set a tone for the match, and
it just made everything more difficult, didn't it? It just made when you're facing the game and that, it just makes it more difficult. Right, mate. Just to finish us off, what's your prediction for the game tomorrow, mate?
2-1 Wales.
Interesting. I think that's what Rod has said as well. Yeah, I think I'm going to go with 1-0 Wales. I am. I think it's going to be tight, and I think it's going to be one of those games. But yeah, I think 1-0 Wales. I fancy Brennan Johnson to have a good game, and I think we'll need Ampadu to really show not just his aggressive and defensive side. Like, he's very, very capable on the ball, and I think we're going to need that from him and Jordan James. I think both of them it's a good combo. That is, I like it. And hopefully we see some of these 21s on the bench, mate. I'd like to see that to really kick us on and try and get it Turkey early doors.
Yeah, I think I know we're closing up side, but I think one boy I've been watching from the 21s in particular is that Stevens lad who's on loan at Oxford. Plays left back. I think he's got for me, I'd put him at left back in the next qualifiers or whatever it may be. I'd have him left back, drop Conor Roberts, put Nico back to his right position at right wing back, which is more natural position for Nico. But that's the last I'll say on him.
Fair enough, mate.
Watch the space. Stevens will be in the next squad for me.
So I want to say big thanks to all the people who come on the show tonight, all the people who've been in the comments and stuff like that. Massive thank you to everyone who took part. If this is something you'd like to see in the future more, then let me know and we'll crack on with it. In the meantime, we'll definitely be back on Thursday for Rodri Giggs and football. Also got five players that Cardiff City should look at in the January transfer window. Done all the research for it, done all the watching, done all the videos. Just got to record the video tomorrow, so that should be out on Wednesday. In the meantime, we bid you farewell. Take care. God bless. Bloody.
Oh, there it is.